All right. I played a. I don't know if it's a bullet tournament or well, I could show you. Let's see. I played some kind of, yeah, the hourly super blitz. So it was and three plus no increment. Apparently, I was in the top 1%. I finished ninth in the tournament, 13 games. Um, Played pretty well. Two of the games I had winning positions and lost on time. Um, I wasn't disappointed with my play. Um, the guy who won the tournament's an IM, so I guess I can be happy with ninth place and says top 1%. So my rating had got as high as 2243 during the tournament. Now I'm 2235. So let's play a little blitz. Want to play some rated games. Play some 5-3. See if anybody wants to play. All right. During the tournament, I didn't venture too far from my normal opening repertoire. Played a Scandinavian, which was pretty fun. Um, as black, I played a King's Gambit accepted, which I accept the King's Gambit every single time. In fact, I usually, after e4, e5, I usually pre-move e takes f4, just in case they do take it. Or in case they play f4, I mean. I take it every time. I don't even think about it. I don't like the decline lines. Um, I never really got into the counter gambit, the Falk beer. Never appealed to me. I tried it a few times. I mean, y'all would be amazed at how many openings I've tried over the years. I've tried pretty much all of them. Um, I mean, I don't like all the wing gambits and stuff like that. I never really tried any of that. But as far as like reasonable openings, reasonable defenses against the Rui Lopez, reasonable defenses against the Italian game, stuff like that. I've tried everything. I've definitely tried everything against D4 because I played a semi-Slav now and I still don't feel totally comfortable in it. Um, I don't know exactly what I'm doing in this opening. I try to play. I think it's the Moran variation with the um, takes on C4, B5, followed by the bishop on B7, and if he rolls a rook over here, I usually play queen to B6. But you got to watch this bishop because it's not protected, so you can't move the knight. So like right here, I usually play queen B6. And like I said, this bishop's not protected, so I like to play here next. And this knight often comes to F8. Here they usually play knight E4 after protecting it with the bishop. So, for example, bishop C2, rook C8, and then knight E4. H3 is a total time waster. Um, Gives me a chance to play rook C8 without losing the tempo and without the possibility of any kind of knight moves. Let's see what happens. All right. So the first somewhat critical moment in the game, if I don't take and I allow him to take, takes, I have to take back with the knight. He can take, and the position's not bad for me at all. The only problem is this knight comes here with the threat of jumping into d6, and I have to do something about it. I can't just um, leave the pieces as they are because the rook would be on e7. I'd have another rook here, and the knight would fork the rook and bishop here. So I have to be careful. And of course, if I take, it opens this file for his rook. So I almost have to play knight d5, and I'm not sure Not sure I really want to do that with the bishop on b7 because what I really want to do here is play c5. So, excuse me. The best thing here, I would think, is just to play c5 straight out and take back with the knight. Man, I can't get my throat clear. Sorry about that. So I got c5 in, and now the bishop breaks. Games are going well, Blacktails. Like I said, I played a 3-0 tournament. 3 minutes with 1 second increment. I came out ninth out of. It said top 1%, so ninth out of I guess 1,000 players. I don't know. Um, but my rating has climbed to 2235 as a result of it. This is the first Blitz game I'm playing tonight, or the first non-tournament game, I should say. I'm playing 5+3. James, give me a last name. I have a couple James, or give me a last initial. That'll work. So now my queen covers d6, but that doesn't help much because it'll be the rook. Oh, hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for joining. Glad you could see the stream. So here, I have to decide whether I want to allow him to push d6. Because if, say, I push here, if I push c4, he probably pushes d6 straight away. I play rook back and he plays bishop back, but now he has a passed pawn on d6 that's protected by a rook, and it's not attacked at all. So I really have no way of dislodging it. He's going to get this in. My bishop is still going to be free, which is a little bit of compensation for it, but I don't think it's enough. Of course, the big problem is if I take here, he plays knight takes, and I have to take back with the bishop, which opens up this diagonal for his bishop, and then his bishop's unopposed. So part of me actually does want to play this, but I don't feel great about it. Um, I think I have to make the trade. I mean, it's not bad for me. It's just could be better, you know. He's gonna play knight takes, or he should play knight takes. Yeah. All right. Bishop takes, because if rook takes, I play c4. And now, this is most likely, but let me think. Yeah, let me play this and double my rooks. That's key here. Knight guards this square, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm doubling rooks, and this is in the semi-Slav. I'm always looking for getting a past c pawn. That's very, very common in this opening. And so I'm going to start pushing these pawns, probably after I create a little space for my king. So, for example, well, yeah, this square is guarded, so all good. Create a little space. If he allows me to trade off the bishop, I definitely will, because his bishop's very good. Controls a lot of squares. Controls a lot more territory than my knight does. I think I'm okay with this. Do I want to trade queens? Let's see. I may just want to do this. Oh, sorry, can't do that. I may just want to do this. I might be good with that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's threaten this pawn. He can't come here because the rook just takes. There's no tactical threats there. And what do I want to do here? I think I just want to push. Yeah, let's just push. He's not really threatening anything. And until he does, I'm not gonna overreact to anything he does. I don't want his queen on the 7th, so I'm gonna leave my rook here as long as I can. He can't come here to play against this rook because of the knight. So here, his best move might be to push forward. But if he does, I might take the tempo and play against a queen. We'll see. Yeah. Should I push forward for the queen, or should I play c3? C3 looks good. Let's do that. Yeah. Now if he pushes, okay, he didn't push. So I think I want to just take here. I think that's fine. Let's play. And if he takes with rook, I take with queen. No. I want to take with queen, but I think it's just a free pawn for him. I don't think I get anything for that. I have to be careful though, because after this, the knight moves and he can play bishop check. Maybe, no, I don't have time. Let's do this. I'm kind of playing with fire here, but I am threatening to win a pawn. And these pawns are going to start rolling. Okay, that's kind of what I was hoping. Now, if he plays here, that's the threat. Yeah. Okay. I might have misplayed this, but that's okay. Where can I go? If I play here, he just plays rook down. And what do I have? Maybe just queen and give up the knight. Let's do that. The position's pretty hopeless. So I give up the knight. I really misplayed that. Give up the knight. Bishop check, I just play up. He's going to push the pawn at some point. And I have to be very careful because if, for example, I just take, if he pushes the pawn, then rook down wins. Okay. Yeah, this is losing. Okay, I lost. Let's see. I want to see what I did wrong here. I always lose the first game. Was I still okay here? Okay, so C3 was a mistake, apparently, according to the computer. If I had played 98 here, I'd be fine. But why was C3 a mistake? Was it because of what he played? C3, rook takes, rook takes. I should have played queen takes because of this, and now the knight's in trouble, and with the rook coming down. Okay, we'll play another one. No big deal. I always lose the first game. Every time, every stream, lose the first game. Let's see what I want to play here. I don't usually allow the marshal. If castles, I usually play h3. Okay, he's choosing a different method. That is one way. They usually play fun early d5 here. c5. There's a bunch of different options here as white. Um, you can play a4. I've seen b4. You can technically play d4 and you should be okay. Well, not anymore, but whenever you had the numbers, you could play d4. You can play knight f1 followed by g4 and knight g3. You can do knight f1, knight g3 without g4, which is really popular. Let's see. I think I want to play a4 just to destabilize. Add a little more tension to the position. d5 would be an interesting move here. I don't know how much it accomplishes, though. I think I just move out of the way. Let's see. Maybe takes, 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 and then queen over. Say queen to b1. Then the question's put to him. Or maybe develop first and then that. Let's do that. Why not? Takes, takes. And now, do I take and after knight takes, then play queen b1? I think that's the way to go. Because what I'm doing is I'm opening up the diagonal to that h7 pawn. Now, if takes up, I take back. I take with rook. And if he doesn't take, I think I'm going to play knight here. Well, I don't want to let him double my pawns. We'll think about it. He's actually got his pawns guarded pretty well. Okay. I was kind of hoping for that. Let's see if I was right. This pawn is attacked. If he plays f6, I'll probably play bishop check and then bishop to d5. Let's do it. Well, no, wait. Do I want to just push d4? Let's do it. That was why I put the queen here to begin with, right? Let's go forward with that plan. See where it leads. The tactics are a little problematic. Like if he plays like f5, then this pawn hangs. If he takes here, the knight protects the bishop, but I can take with pawn, and then I'm threatening d5, which would win the bishop. There are a lot of he can't just play c4 because of this. And then after taking, I would just play bishop back because I have the rook advanced. All right, let's see where this leads. If he takes, I take with knight, right? Because the bishop hangs if he takes. And this is with check, which helps. This was a good idea, bringing the queen off sides. When the queen was in the center of the board, she helped with the defense of d4. I think I'm okay if I do this. I think. If bishop, though, that's the problem. If bishop. Oh, if bishop, I take knight. And then if bishop takes rook, I can check. If bishop takes rook, I check here and then take the bishop. Yeah, he couldn't just take back. So let's do this first. Check. And then here. That would be interesting. I need to get this knight somewhere. I need to figure out what to do with the knight. I don't want to bring the knight to b3 because I want the knight to participate in the attack if it can. Of course, what I really want to do is him to play some kind of move like, I don't know, rook a8 or something that allows me to play bishop e4, which in turn would allow me to play knight. I think that applies here. I think. Got to be careful though, because like if I play bishop e4 here, he can play queen c7, because then I have to move the knight, but the pawn's pinned, so it doesn't protect the rook. Let's play this to get the rook out. Does that work? I think it works. Sure, let's do that. So if takes, I take with bishop, and then I can at some point play e4. And I'm way ahead in time, which helps for sure. All right, this is a legit threat, but I also have this. Can the queen reposition quickly? I don't think so. The only thing is, if knight e4, what's stopping him from just playing bishop d4 and then my bishop's offsides? Nothing, huh? Man, 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 man. Do I want to play this? I feel like I do. Let's do it. If bishop moves back, I can just play here. Threaten the bishop. He doesn't have a whole lot of places to go. And don't really want to trade queens. But I don't want to put him in harm's way either. Let's go here. Okay. I can start to make threats against this. Like, okay, this is dangerous because if I can get to either of these squares, that's a wrap. Maybe I can make this threat here. Does that work? I think it works. Let's do it. And now if queen check, king h2, queen h6, there. All right, I can still make the same threat. Same threat. And where does he go from here? Same threat. Same threat. Now I'm threatening the bishop. Okay, take. Here. Did I just blow it? I did. Yeah. Man. Why am I playing so fast? I had a minute left. I was winning that game too. All right, let's focus. I was winning that game right up until that last blunder. I make that mistake a lot, and Fisher talked about making that mistake is when your opponent runs low on time. When your opponent runs low on time, we have a tendency to try to play fast to clock him instead of playing good moves. And the best way to clock your opponent is by playing strong moves that are hard to respond to, not playing fast by any means. So just like that, my rating is back. I don't really care. I never did care about rating other than hitting milestones, which is pretty cool. All right, got myself in a little jam here already. Here. Played this opening a bunch of times. They take sometimes. Every now and then they'll just play knight takes and five there and there. If rook over, I'll play queen here. I play queen there in almost every conceivable line. I guess here is also an option. But I like to play here to threaten this pawn. Now I definitely want to play here. But let me think. So if I play here, then this threatens this pawn. Push. But I can push the pawn. Yeah, that looks like the move. Let's do that. So now if rook over, I play e4. And I'm going to move this knight at some point. All right, this feels good for me. Weaken his position a little bit, just a little bit, not much. Let's threaten this pawn. He's probably going to play straight down. And I can just play up. Okay, that works too. Where does he go? I suppose he just moves, right? Should I bring another piece into the attack before I play e4? Or can he stop e4 on the next move? e4 is not really a threat either. It's a superficial threat because I'm not going to be able to take the knight because the queen takes the queen here. So let's think. This is a candidate. This is a candidate. Rook c8 is actually kind of interesting. Let's play rook c8. And then we're going to play rook e8. And then we might push the pawn. He can't push. So we're going to try to take advantage of that. If the file ever opens up, I'll have this tactic. Of course, this knight would be way better suited here. Let's take this opportunity to make that happen. And now, okay, so he wants to bring the knight here. How do I stop that? Is this knight doing anything? I can play knight h5 because g4 is met with queen takes. I just wonder if that's the right way. I could also play e4 now. Let's go this way. The only thing is if he moves his knight away. I'm not really concerned about that. Let's do it. I'll sacrifice a pawn if he opens up everything in front of his king. The pawn sacrifice would be knight takes, bishop takes, and then g4. Because I can't play queen g5 because of this bishop. Okay. This pawn's covered. How do I want to do this? I think I just want to play here. This looks fine. g3? That would be amazing. Okay, so I definitely want to let him take there if I can. So it'll be, do I play here though? Yeah, that's got to be it, right? Yeah. If g3, I take here. Oh. Okay, so he's giving me. Okay, so he played up. Yeah. So that was and if he'd offered to take back, I'd have accepted it. But just to show you the tactic, if he does take, this is still losing because of e4. And now what does he do? You see the rook is open to the queen. So if he plays here, I just play bishop h2 check. And after takes, rook takes, knight takes, and now I get the piece back. So I mean, it was losing either way, but he had a little mouse slip. All right, on to the next one. If anyone is watching and wants to see um, a different opening, I would be glad to oblige. I will definitely play whatever opening system you want. I mean, within reason. I'm not trying to play the Jerome on this stream, but within reason, I'll play just about any opening. I don't think openings matter all that much at less than the say 2300, 2400 level. I think before that level, people make enough mistakes that um, that opening choice isn't that big a deal. I think I just want to play F5, crude as it is. This was not a theoretical opening. Okay, so I can't play it. This wasn't a theoretical opening. I don't know what I'm doing in this opening, so I just started making moves that made sense to me. Kind of want to play Queen E8 right here. Let's do it. If pawn down, I'll take. And after takes, win the pawn. It's not the way he wants to go. All right, so he can't play Queen B3 because of the bishop. And now here, I don't want to play this, but I still want to play F5. So I want to make sure I leave that open. Let's do it. I was just thinking, if he plays rook A to D1, I think I'll just win this pawn. Normally, these kind of pawn grabs can be dangerous because of pawn pushes, but in this case, this is not doable because I just win another pawn, and he can play this and I guess get counterplay, but I mean it's not. If I got both of these pawns, the counterplay doesn't really mean anything. So takes C4 is the move I'm worried about. So I wonder, no, I can't take first because then he takes with a piece. C4. What happens after C4? What happens after bishop takes and then C4? Hmm. Might just be too complicated. Maybe this, maybe this is the move. And I'm saying this is the move because after takes, this square, this square, this square, and this square are all no-goes. Well, this square is fine, which is what it would do. Let's do that. I wimped out. I wanted to take this, but I just wimped out. Not that big a deal. I wimp out all the time. Double. Well, I don't want to give him the open file, so I'll just do this. Trade off rooks, I'm fine with that. We're playing in game. This guy's good. Anyone that's provisional over 2,000, they're on their way up. That playing against provisional players, if you care about rating, is a nightmare. I don't care much about rating. My rating's going to fluctuate. I think I'm overrated here anyway, so rating is not a big deal to me at all. I once played a Double Muzio Gambit in the opening round of a tournament as white. Um, that was over the board, by the way. And people were walking by the board like, wow, that guy's crazy. And it was like, no, that guy just doesn't care about rating. Double Muzio is fun to play. And it was a draw. It ended in a draw. I could show that game. I have that game on my phone. I'll show it after this game and then call it a night. What's he thinking about? He's thinking about his in-game prospects. I gotta think he has a better in-game. I mean, I don't really have much going for me. I'm gonna play this. I think I'm gonna play it anyway. Actually, now I kind of want to trade rooks, let him have the file, and play a middle game. I'm surprised he didn't just let me have triple pawns. Triple pawns are fun. I don't get to do it often enough. All right, so this file, yeah, let's make it fun. If he moves the knight, I force an isolated pawn. So he's probably going to take, even though it's counterintuitive to take here. If I was white, I would take. I would rather trade off there than allow the isolated pawn. All right, he chose to go the other way, which is also fine, I think. We'll play here. Knight in here. Then what? I guess, so the threat is knight here. Sorry, knight here. Huh. All right, let's play this. Since this square is cut off, and this square can't be used to attack. I think I want to just push and then push the A pawn forward. I think that's a sound strategy here. Let's do that. My bishop's not bad. It's outside the pawn chain. As long as his king's on dark squares, there's going to be tactics available. The rook's never going to be able to take. The knight's never going to be able to attack the bishop because these two pawns. He can attack the bishop, but he's got to go a different way to get there. So like he would have to go up and then here. Let's do this. If he takes the pawn, a bishop check wins the knight. Okay, now he's actually threatening to win the knight, or to win the pawn, I mean, so I have to protect it. And now I'm going to push this pawn, if he lets me. I might just come in here. I wonder if I can keep the rook from coming to this square by just going back and forth between this square and this square. Because that's what he's threatening. He's threatening to bring the rook in here, which is a legit threat. I could push right here and then play rook a8 and not worry about this pawn. Or actually, after rook down, I can play bishop here, followed by bishop here. Yeah, that's the move. Let's do that. So if he takes rook a8, if he doesn't take rook a8, then I'll be hitting on this pawn. And it's going to be tough to defend. That is going to be a tough pawn to defend. Threatening knight takes. Now I kind of want to play here. If I play here, he might trade and take this pawn, which doesn't look good for me. So let's just do this. Where's he going? Here? If here, bishop back. And now I come in here. Now if he ever pushes, I just take. Kind of a zigzag here. Not totally, because the king can kind of shuffle back and forth up here, but his pieces are a little frozen. He wants to defend both of these squares, so the knight has to stay in place. But he has to defend his knight against rook a2. This is a tough position for white. No, no draw here. I feel good. I've turned down draws before and lost, but we'll see. I definitely shouldn't lose here, but I've lost one positions before, so like 2 games ago. So we shall see. I think he offered a draw because he doesn't have a move. Yeah. So king over, rook a2, and I'm coming rook here. Okay. Over. Is he just trying to come into the light squares with the king? That would be funny. All right. How do I want to play this? Take, right? Why not? Okay. Gotcha. Good game. It is his absolute right to play on till mate, and it is my absolute right to turn every one of these pawns into knights. Do the old Hikaru. I'm gonna end up stalemating him. Let's see. How do I want to do this? Go this way. That's funny. All right, I'm gonna put some actual effort into this checkmate now. Let's go cover this square and then here. Here. All right. What a dick. I mean, resign, for God's sake. Um, I want to show you guys that. See, how do I go to analysis? Okay, so analysis board. I'm gonna bring up that Double Muzio Gambit, and if you've never played it, it starts like I'm white here. It's a King's Gambit, G5, Bishop C4, and after G4, there's a couple ways to handle this. The old romantic method, the old Morphy. Not, I don't know if Morphy ever. I'm sure Morphy has played this way, but D4 back in the day was a sacrifice of the knight that worked one way. Knight E5 was a common reply, and after Queen H4, King F1, the attack was coming here, here. The knight can escape here if like F6 or something, the knight can capture. Except the bishop. There's a lot of tactics. I don't play into any of that, and so I just play after G4 a castle. After takes queen takes, there's a lot of pressure coming this way. So black's most common response, believe it or not, is Queen F6, and the double Muzio. Since I've already sacrificed one piece, I am going to, of course, sacrifice another piece. And after accepting, D4 is the move. And from here, I need to bring up the game, excuse me. I need to find it real quick. Okay, I think I got it. So after D4, if queen takes, the move is bishop to E3 because the pawn is pinned to the king. So if queen takes, and now there's these two pieces actually make a huge attack on the king because can't really block it, right? Now the knight's guarded and I can attack on diagonals, and as soon as this knight moves, I have another file with the rook. So there's a lot going on. So after, um, where was I? Can I start over? Yeah. So I'm gonna play through the actual game because I haven't really figured out how to use the analysis board here yet. So I'm not fast with it at all. Um, Castles, give it up. E5, give it up. D4. Now my opponent played Queen F5, which is the computer move. I played G4, and after Queen G6, Bishop takes F4. And now I'm threatening the discovery. Black is objectively much better, but there are just so many ways for him to go wrong. This is a speculative gambit. Obviously, I sacrificed two pieces. It's not unclear that, I mean, black has lines to victory, but they're hard to find. They're very hard to find. So after knight f6, I played bishop e5. And here, bishop e7 is the best move. My opponent starts to lose pawns already by playing bishop g7. And the whole reason he played bishop g7 is because after I play knight c3, he wants to play d6. And now everything is piling on this g4 pawn. And what he's really threatening is bishop takes g4. So of course I'll take first. He takes here, and I play knight to d5. And now if bishop takes, I take with queen, which is what happens. Queen takes f6, queen takes f6. Now, here, I think he underestimated this move. Rook to f4, hitting the bishop. And there was a spot here. If you're wondering where my opponent went wrong, it's right here. Bishop takes g4, while it looks obvious, is actually blunder. Knight to d7 here holds the bishop and the game. He's up 2 pieces. I have a big attack, but even though this blocks the bishop in, all he needs to do is hold this piece. I don't have another attacker. There's not another piece coming. I can't play g5. Even if I move the king, I can't play g5 because the queen can just take it. So knight to d7 actually holds the position. But after the line my opponent chose, rook to f4, he played bishop h5. I played knight takes c7 up here, and now you can see the game is pretty much equal. He has slightly better chances, but not much. So you see, I have 5 pawns and 2 rooks against 4 pawns, a rook, and 2 pieces. Which I played king f2. He played rook f8 to trade. I forced his king backward, and now you can see the computer starting to give zeros already. They don't stay at zeros. I actually misplayed something in just a second that allows him back in. Actually, instead of king e3, I played c3. And king f7. What's that? King to e3, king to e6. I played rook g1 here when rook f1 was apparently more appropriate because of bishop g6, but then I cut off the rank. And now, again, you can see it's pretty equal here. It's going to be hard for either side. I would rather have black in this position, but not by a long shot. I was pretty comfortable playing here with white. I played king f3, and the game's almost over. After a6, this is where I messed up. I played c4, which is a mistake because of knight b4. And now, after, say, rook a4, knight c2. Kind of forces me to make moves that I don't want to make. It forces me into positional problems. But after c4, he played knight b6 instead, which is fine for me after b3. Bishop b1. And after bishop b1, I played c5. Takes, knight d7. King e3. And this is all pretty accurate. Knight e5. King f4, knight c6, which was a good move. So actually, you can see the computer eval shot up. After knight e5, rook a4 was the move, king f4 was a mistake, which I should have figured that, moving away from the piece. I knew I couldn't play here because of the fork. But after knight c6, which was accurate, rook a4, and he's starting to get some chances again after king d5. So I played a3. And now if he takes right away, rook c4 gives him some problems because I hold pretty well. But he didn't. He played, I want to say he played bishop c2. Yeah, bishop c2. Rook c4, so I gave him the pawn. Why I did that, I have no idea. But I think I turned out okay. Rook c4, bishop takes b2, rook c3, c4, h3. Oh, bishop c4 and rook h3. Yeah. And here you can see the zeros. After I played rook h3, it's totally drawn, and I calculated that correctly. Because the king can't approach the pawn, you'll see. For example, he played b5. I played king e3, knight e5, king d2, king b6. He's trying to go around to get the pawn. But then after king c3, king a5, I just play rook h6. And now he can't get to the pawn. The bishop can't attack the pawn. The knight can't get to it from anywhere. If it tries to come in here, the king harasses it. And if the king ever plays up, the rook just plays over. And if he wastes too much time doing anything, I start to push the H pawn. So we repeated moves after this. He played knight G4. I played rook H4. He played knight F2, rook H6, and then we repeated moves, and it was drawn. So I played that in a rated game in a tournament, Double Muzio Gambit. Um, there was never any point at which I was better in the game, but it was a whole lot of fun to play, and um, hopefully you got something out of that. It was an interesting in game. I find in these games with rook versus knight and bishop, I think the rook is underrated in its ability to hold. I think it holds way more often than most people in practical. I'm sure in table bases it doesn't hold that well, but in practical games, I find it holds often. Often, whenever I have the rook against the two pieces, I hold pretty often. So I'll play one more game and then I'll call it a night. Just to play one more, and I'll play a different opening. See, I have no idea what I'm doing in English, so let's play it against a 2300. Why not? Rating doesn't matter. Let's play this way. Play E3 and knight E2. So I'm thinking I want to play this. What do I play here? Do I just take? Do I just let him take? Probably shouldn't let him take, huh? F3 is bad. How do I want to play this? F3 is bad. Is it that bad? I have a flexible center and he's not really attacking it. Hmm. Let's play F3. Why not? It's bad chess. But like I said, it can't be too bad. And play here. Attacking this. Hmm. Okay. And I think I'll just play here. I think. Yeah. If F5, I can play back here or here. I'd really love to get this in. Is he going to let me get away with this? Square is weak. Oh, he can take the knight. Oof. Double my pawns. It's going to be ugly. But let's see. If he does that, I can... We have time to calculate. Let's calculate. If bishop takes, can I take here? Okay, so he didn't play it. I want to do this. Which square do I want to play to? I think I want to go here. Queen on F6, right? And now what comes next? Where do I want my knight? Ugh, gotta love that. Um, how cheeky would King F2 be? I feel like that would be extremely cheeky. Let's do it. I don't think he has any way of attacking my king. That is so incredibly cheeky. King F2, a Petrosian-esque. Okay. So, knight followed by G4 is a move. Let's do that. Now, if he lets me take control of this file, trading rooks would have been bad for him. And you know, I feel like I have him a little cramped. So we're gonna not trade queens here. I'd love for him to play F6. Let's see what I can get him to do. Can't play F6 yet because of um, E6 would be hanging. I'm not planning this push anymore. And I can't push this because it leaves that square behind. So this cheeky king is going to sit right here. I may play bishop h3, but I really don't want to leave this diagonal open. Of course, if I remove the knight, then this is no longer a problem. I can push that. So that's goes both ways, I guess. I think right now he's debating whether he can allow the trades and have the queen on d8 and allow me to take this pawn. Because if I take this pawn, then I'm defending this pawn. So I can just play, excuse me, queen takes, and then after queen check, I can play knight f2. What is he planning with this move? That actually makes this more palatable. Let's do it. I'm going to try and trade this off. Okay, he's smart to not allow it, for sure. How do I get here? How do I get there? Do I play this? It's got to be bad, right? Let's do it. Okay. Do I have time to double? I think I do. If he plays f6, I think this is forced. Well, no, I could play back here. Actually, that's probably best, because staying up here does not look promising. Play back here, double rooks. And then this square is weak. But I don't know how fast I can take advantage of it. He might be able to push it before I can take advantage of it. Okay, back. And now I want to play this, but he could just take, and then I have a backward pawn. But then I'm hitting on this pawn again, which is important. Oh, that's double. Okay. He little by little he is making his position more cramped. He's got this rook defending this pawn and nothing's even attacking it. And now he can't force a trade of the rooks in one move. It's going to take him a couple moves to set it up. He would have to move back and then over. Meanwhile, I have the option of taking here, and he kind of has to take this way because if not, if he takes with this pawn, it vacates this, it leaves this square unattended, and the knight can jump in there. And if he trades, it would be a hell of an outpost for a rook even, and I could triple pieces. I could do the famed Alekhine gun. I wonder if that's the way to go about it. Let's do it. Let's do it and play rook to d6. No, don't want to do that. Don't want to do that because then if he pushes, I won't have this. And I want to make sure I have this if he pushes. So what to do now? Triple up maybe? Let's do that. All right, now I'm going to push this. Because if he pushes, I'll queen check. He managed to get rid of one of his weak pawns, but I got rid of one of my weak pawns too. I want to get the king and the queen off the same rank. I wonder if I just do this and trade. Okay. Feel like I came out of that better. And now what? I have time to think. Let's not make hasty moves just because he's low on time. Let's make sure we make good moves. This is a move because at the end, if he trades, then at the end of the trades, the bishop's hanging. Let's do that. Got him on time. All right. Whew. Let's see where I was at the end of it. So 23.55 with English opening. Nice. So I had a small advantage at the end of it. So e4 was best. And I had considered e4, but I didn't like this. So it was queen e4. Yeah, because the rook stayed double. Okay, and what happens after this? Queen e6. Okay, yeah, of course. So here and then check was my plan. And after king over, wow. Okay, yeah, this is winning for white. Okay, good. Hey, I outplayed a 2350 in a English opening. First time I've played that in years. All right, I'm gonna call it a night on that one. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Y'all have a good one.